Hello and welcome to Sakai Ichimonji's global channel. I'm Brad and I run international marketing and education here at Ichimonji, a family-run Japanese traditional kitchen knife store that has been open since the early 1950s. We're here to talk about sharpening today. No matter how good your knife might be, and as you keep using it, it will lose its sharpness over time. This is a natural part of owning and using a good knife. To regain the knife's sharpness and thus its performance, you need to sharpen it. So, using a water-based whetstone, let's look at how to sharpen a double-edged knife. A double-edged knife is a knife that has a cutting edge, also called a kiraha, at its center. These can be used both as a left or right-handed knife. In contrast, single-edged knives have an almost flat side. With an edge on only one side, left-handed models are different to right-handed ones. Most of the household knives you see, such as santoku, gyuto, petty, and nakiri knives, are double-edged, and those are the kinds of knives we're focusing on today. Follow along and you'll have a sharp knife again in no time. Pause the video or rewind where you need, and let's get started. Now before we start, you'll need a few things. Of course, you'll need your knife, but you also need a whetstone to sharpen with, a couple of towels, a grip sheet, and some newspaper. You'll also likely want to set up your sharpening area in the kitchen as water is readily available and that is a necessary part of sharpening. For this tutorial, we'll be using a single vitrified type artificial whetstone that is both a rough stone and a medium stone. We sell these at our shop as well. This grey, rougher looking side is a grit number 200 rough whetstone. This red, slightly smoother looking side is a 1000 grit number medium whetstone. Simply put, the smaller that grit number is, the rougher the stone is, and the larger it is, the finer the stone is. Oh, one more thing. I forgot to mention that sharpening liquid or swarf may splash around while you're sharpening. Be careful not to get mess on your surroundings or your clothes. Maybe wear some old clothes or an apron you aren't too fussed about when you start sharpening. First, fully immerse and soak the whetstone in water for about 5 minutes before you begin sharpening. You shouldn't see many bubbles coming out of the stone after 5 minutes. Next, set the whetstone on the counter you're going to use, like we've done here. Lay the towels over the grip sheet with the whetstone on top, like so. We'll use the rough side first, so place the stone with the grit number 200 mark face up. Using your right hand, grip the knife's handle with your middle, ring, and little fingers. Then place your right thumb at the base of the blade. The index finger is placed on the back or spine of the knife. Place the knife at around a 45-degree horizontal angle to the whetstone and a 10 to 15 degree vertical angle. This is a rough guide, so you don't need to be precise. You don't need a protractor or anything like that. On that note, we're ready. Let's start sharpening. Grip the knife firmly with your right hand and press down the blade gently using the index and middle fingers of your left hand. You only need to use a little bit of force here. Sharpen the knife section by section and you'll find it much easier too. Only press down when the knife is being pushed away from you. Don't press when bringing it towards you. It's better to keep the angle the same when sharpening as much as possible, but at first this is going to be difficult to do. Everyone's a beginner at first, and it's okay not to get it right on your first shot, so just keep practicing and try again if you have to. If you find the whetstone drying out as you go, splash some water on it to keep it wet. After sharpening for a while, if you touch the cutting edge with your fingertip carefully and feel a protrusion like this, you've created a burr or kairi in Japanese, which is proof that you've sharpened the knife. Did you create a kairi on the blade? If so, well done, and you've got a new skill. You can sharpen knives now. If not, just sharpen a little bit more. Either way, sharpen the knife until you can see a kairi on the entire blade. If you're having trouble getting a kairi on the tip of your blade, raise your right elbow a little bit and press the blade's tip with your left hand. In turn, if the base of the blade doesn't have a kairi, lower your elbow and press the base a little with your left hand instead. How are we going so far? Hopefully you've got a burr on the entire blade edge. If you do, now let's switch to the left hand instead. If you're right-handed, this step will be a little more difficult, but left-handers rejoice, you've got it easier here. As this is a double bevel knife, and for our first sharpening we're aiming for a roughly 50-50 ratio, simply repeat the same process as you did for the other side. Again, when you have a kairi on the entire blade, then you're done sharpening with your rough whetstone. Now, turn over your whetstone to the other side with the 1000 grip marker facing upwards. We're now going to sharpen with this medium side of the whetstone. What this will do is build upon what you've already done and give you a nice sharp edge. Like before, grip the handle with your right hand and press the edge of the blade with your left. This is basically the same as before. Sharpen until you see a kairi on the entire blade. Then do this again on the other side. That's it, you're done. And now it's time for the final steps. Now that we're done sharpening, wash the blade and handle and dry them thoroughly with a cloth. After this, strop the edge of the blade by running it against newspaper or another similar style of paper to remove the burrs. My co-workers in store here actually rub the edge of the knife just on their own denim apron to remove the burr, but they're masters of what they do, so they can do that safely. Just stick with newspaper on your side. Now the best part of sharpening any knife is the part where you get to test it. As you can see, that cuts very well, and we hope yours does too. But if it doesn't, just keep sharpening and practice. If you can't get a kairi on the whole thing, just sharpen the parts until you need to. On that note, don't forget to clean up your kitchen now that you've finished. With your whetstone, don't leave it submerged in the water for any long period of time after that first step. Let it dry naturally so that it doesn't crack from any temperature or humidity changes before you put it away. Either way, well done, you've done your first sharpening, and that's fantastic. That's something that you will be able to do now going forward with practice. We do have a couple more tips and tricks for you though to make the most of this new skill you now have. Firstly, if you're going to sharpen more frequently, say several times a month, sometimes you can skip that rough stone step and go straight to the medium stone. This will save you a lot of time. I like to say that you can look at sleep debt kind of like sharpening debt as well, where if you leave it for a long time, you're gonna have to do more when it finally is time to play catch up. So try and sharpen frequently when possible. Also, if you want to pursue even higher levels of sharpness, you can move on to a finer whetstone like a Gritstone 3000 or Gritstone 6000 once you've done the medium step, and you can add more and more as you go. Remember though, this video is just for beginners, so it's okay to start with 1 or 2 whetstones to begin with. Give sharpening a go, give it plenty of practice, and you can always ask us if you have any questions as well. You can see some examples of our masters of work by looking at some of the shorts on our channel, or try looking at some of the other videos here or on our Japanese channel, Hocho no Koto. Don't forget to share your results with us on Instagram and other social medias. Plus our website has many more tutorials and maintenance guides in English as well. Happy sharpening, and we'll see you in the next video. Okini! It's hard to wave with this, Okini!